Hi everyone. I am sharing with you a session, a live session that I did with a client yesterday. And I'm excited to share this session with you because it was a really great example of how we work and approach working with imbalances in the physicality, what could then look like illness or sickness or disease. And it was a really also a great example of a theme that Thessa has recently named in her last Patreon on self-criticism and perfectionism. So before sharing the video with you, I would like to set the stage a little bit so that you can potentially listen and follow the session, but through your own experience. So this is really our invitation to everyone who is journeying with us. Anytime we are sharing information or guiding, or someone else's experience is being guided, I'm always inviting others to journey through their own inner space. So you can start doing that now, actually just starting to tune into sensations in the body, any mood or emotion, any thoughts that you're thinking or the energy of thinking, sensations that come with the thoughts. And really any phenomena, anything that is active and moving. And it could get very subtle, more gestalt experience. So the foundation of our work is kind of threefold. There's a deep cultivation of acceptance and allowance, and really allowing whatever layer emerges, letting that take the stage. And then there is grounding into silence, or what is calm and still in relationship to your body. And really that I invite you to do within yourself before you start listening to the session, because we actually start from a fairly unified space, which means there's already quite a strong foundation of silence. And you will find it easier to journey with us if that foundation is affirmed beforehand. So the foundation of what feels calm and still or silent, or other words I may use, are the absolute, or what it is that is unchanging and unmoving. And then that actually, the naming of that foundation really varies dependent upon the direct experience within myself and within another in any given moment. And so there is a broad spectrum of how we name and presence that foundation. And I think in this session, at some point, I refer to the Great Mother or the Dark Mother. And really what I'm doing there is I'm naming a very deep level or realization of the absolute that has a nurturing, kind of all-encompassing nature to it, and in a way feminine. And so the Great or Dark Mother kind of matches that level of remembering. So of course, as you're journeying within yourself, you just name within yourself. Obviously you don't need to name it, but you just notice what is that within you in that moment. You don't need to be having the experience that we're having. So if you would like to journey with us, you can choose to work, if you like, with the kidneys or the spleen or the liver. Or you could just sit and notice what lights up in you as we're flowing into the session. So another layer that we use in the session, which some of you who've worked with us before, or most of you have worked with us before, will be familiar with, and that is reflection technique. And we have a whole nother video on that, which is available on Thessa's YouTube channel. And you can look that up anytime. It's in our Primordial Home group. And it is really our basic tool for freedom and intimacy and relationship. But of course, working within oneself, we're always working with relationships. And so in this particular session, we're exploring the relationships between the spleen and the kidney. And eventually the liver came in. And this is really powerful way of really eking out the subtleties of identification at different levels of the physiology and within the systems of the body. And of course, polarity, which is another big element in our work, working with polarity. And it's just because polarity naturally comes up. And so, of course, as you're deepening within yourself, and if you notice any polarity that arises, be that the possibilities are endless, but there will be two things appearing in contrast to one another, then that provides you with the perfect avenue for cultivating greater unification, which would be the coming together of those two polarities. And the factor that brings them together is allowing, embodying of each pole together with the deepest silence or absolute and surrender. So I invite you to journey with us in this session. And I will probably cut out the first part of the session, but I might name some of the things that I shared. So she came to the session wanting to work with the spleen and the kidney. And I was sharing with her my experience of the spleen and how it's had, ultimately, when you start cultivating greater levels of unification within an area of the body, the uniqueness of that area of the body, that organ or that system, gets to reveal itself through the unification. And unification is really just when something comes into coherence and harmony with the whole and with it within itself as a whole. And the way that that union begins to express, it shows you something of the uniqueness there. And the spleen has been a really profound revelation for me. I experience it as very intimate to the transference and transmission of information, and really the kind of exchange of water within the bodily system, but also the exchange of information through the element of water. So the kind of transformational energy of that exchange. And so it tends to be a very key place of exploration within the body for those who do a lot of meditating, because the spleen can get very, well, in myself, it would show up as the spleen being overwhelmed with too much information and unable to digest and move the information through. And the way I would experience the spleen, the experience on an inner level, was this really simple movement of water, and like an exchange. And there would be no sticking or stopping to that. It was just this transference between two things. So I found the spleen in myself had a very heightened energy, I can feel now the substance of essence in the spleen. It's very luminous and bright and really like a lighthouse within my body. And I found using medicinal mushrooms very, very supportive to grounding the energy of the spleen for myself. I find chaga and reishi tea very, very grounding. So in the beginning of this session, we were just talking about that and the kind of use of physical healing protocols that really match the inner work. So there's a really deep listening of what's needed, and then you can use external remedies that really match the inner alchemy that's wanting to happen. So within me, the inner alchemy would be the unification or the resolving of any deficiency of the element of earth in relationship to the spleen and the kidney area. Yeah, so I think that's everything I want to share. And I hope you enjoy journeying with us. I'm really grateful to Ava for being open for me to share this very deep journey together that really took us to the kind of primordial stillness that is really at the foundation of our deepest work. And yeah, I encourage you to listen to Thessa's Patreon if you are a member of her Patreon. And to be a member is, I mean, gosh, I think I pay $4 and it's the best $4 personally that I spend, what I could spend, best value for money. And it was a really, really great Patreon, also touching in on self-criticism and perfectionism and the lymphatic system. Okay, thank you. I warmly welcome comments below. Thank you for journeying with us. Much love. So you can just start, noticing what's lit up for you. You don't need to go into it. You don't need to just let your inner space express, let the sensations express. And let the kidney and the spleen be highlighted through the conversation, through and then of course presencing or just being open to silence, or inviting what is calm and still to be the foundation for the allowing and the being with the spleen and the kidney and anything that's being highlighted as we bring them to the forefront. Just through allowing, silence will become foundational. We don't need to actually look for silence or make it come in. So we're just starting by really letting the kidney and the spleen take the stage. Let them have their say in your inner environment. Let them express through sensory or even pre-sensory phenomena. And you can just notice you, the one that is allowing or noticing. Just notice where you are living in space, where, including the properties of what you are. Really letting any sense of me there. Letting yourself be the sense of me. And you may be noticing a sense of me that's in unification. And when there's unification, there's a settledness, there's coherence, the sense of calm is embedded in what you are. So that sense of me and the materiality of the union becomes your foundation, because silence and calm is embedded in that. And just by being the sense of me there, that is just gonna, in union, that is going to, and really reveling or savoring what you are there, it's gonna really allow the healing state or the healing effect of your unified nature to inform your inner environment, and it's going to highlight anything that is in separation, anything that is yet to be consumed by that unified consciousness, that unified experience. So when you're ready, the reason I've been highlighting the unified me, because I was feeling that very strongly. And now you can just again let the kidney and the spleen notice where they are in communion or inherent to that unified expression, or anything that isn't, anything that's highlighting itself in separation. Just noticing the contrast. Yeah, you go.
Yeah, what I feel is like the mother and the daughter. Yeah, trying to unify, but it's like yeah, go and then go back.
Great. So that's perfect. So you have a polarity there, or two aspects. So you can let yourself explore the properties of both, or one and then the other, noticing how the mother and the daughter correspond to the spleen and the kidney.
Yeah, there is like the mother is more the spleen, and there is more contraction, and the um, kidney is the daughter, and there I feel some more fluidity. But there is a layer of sadness.
Yeah,
But
great.
they can't connect. It's like yeah, they can't reach
Great.
each other.
Great. So really let yourself experience the inability to connect and reach. Great.
And that's a reflection of of my daily life also. Funny.
Perfect. Yeah, so surrendering into that experience of not being able to connect, and anything that arises there, that is a really core the challenge there is to let yourself experience the deficiency of connection and any longing for connection. Really honoring the longing, let yourself long to connect, anything that comes with that. And then presencing
Yeah. Now the lungs coming too.
Yeah, it's really powerful. So when I sit in, like, can feel the love coming in, but when I really let the deficiency, like the sense of being unable to connect, take the stage, it highlights some numbness, and like sensations get highlighted that come with that. And it feels really like something can get harvested by really letting yourself stay in that experience of being unable to connect. As in, the tendency could be to like jump in the love and revel in the love too soon.
Yes.
And there's something, and that means that there's kind of a 80% unification gets to fulfill itself, but you haven't gone to the root of the lack of connection. And the only way to get there is to really stay in that and deepen in that, letting the love be there peripherally, knowing that feeling that it's available, but there's yeah, I can feel that this is related to, I can start to feel a waviness coming in, like her sense of identity that feels wavy, watery, and it's like bigger waters. And okay, so what's coming up for me is this is the layer that's deeper, it feels more archetypal or fundamental and related to connecting to the earth as the mother. And there's the more I let myself sit there and feel unable to connect, I can feel a level of, like, I can feel a burgeoning depth that's related to the earth. Like I can feel like just sitting there is. So obviously as I'm sharing, you self-refer. Like if I share something and it doesn't highlight itself in your inner space, then just being with your own, being with what's highlighting itself layer by layer.
Yeah, I can relate to this tendency to jump into love and the unification, and then not, and but that it's important to go to the spot where there is unableness to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more in the front of the body. That's,
yeah, great.
and it's like surrounded with an ocean.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, just really sitting there, allowing will just keep highlighting what you are there actually.
It's changing all the time. It's like,
It's good to, from where you've dropped to now and the subtlety and the changes, you can just every now and again highlight the spleen and the kidney, just to really presence the orientation, like the kind of inclusion of the organs with the depth, the integration.
yeah.
Notice noticing how they appear at this depth.
Yeah, there is more like breathing, living organs. Yes, like there is also a connection with the left ovary. There is like a contraction. And when I go there, when I then I come out of this subtleness. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is highlighting myself, because obviously as I journey with you, I'm checking my own kidney, spleen, and I'm noticing a heaviness in my kidneys, and it seems, and because you've highlighted the mother-child relational dynamic, I'm noticing that, and I'm sharing because it may feel relevant to you, themes of self, like criticism.
Yes.
When I feel the heaviness in the kidneys, I feel like a subtle self-criticism.
Yes.
And it feels kind of constrictive and yeah, very constricting, particularly in the neck, head. And I feel stagnation there. And so I recognize that terrain is very intimate to the primordial, the integration at the primordial level. So it feels really important that I just take some time just to feel stagnant self-criticism. It's very subtle because there is that primordial space is there. So there's this kind of gentle, soft, kind of field of loving awareness. And a deeper presence.
Yeah, there's also an aspect of hardness in it.
Mm-hmm. The breath is key, because you'll notice when there's unification, the breath will come online, and it's kind of the it's really what generates the union. It's driving unification. And so I'm noticing in the deficiency and this self-critical flavor, stagnant, the breath is constricted, and there's kind of a lack of breath. So I'm just noticing that too.
Yeah, you can feel that. It's like how to say, withdrawal. There's this layer of self-criticism and then stagnation of breathing, and then like withdrawal, yes, not coming out. Mm.
Starting to experience unification coming in at the back, and there was a new way of breathing, and it feels like it's behind everything, like at the back.
Yes.
And it literally the experience is I'm picking what I am, I'm picking true nature from that whole field of like stagnant, critical. Something is being highlighted that is not that. And that is not entangled in that or bound to that, or yeah, something that is true nature.
Yeah, I'm sitting now in between this critical layer, which is quite hard, and then the back, which is more supportive and soft.
Mm. So just reaffirming, letting the breath breathe how it wants to breathe is really key. The breath is really the agent for the healing and the coherence, like it will reorganize things. And
Yeah, I feel that the breath sometimes when there is unification, I feel that the breath is like but when I go in again between this critical layer and this soft layer in the back, it's there is more stagnation. It's like I'm not breathing at all.
Yeah, I feel that too. It's really good to just notice the contrast there. Let yourself experience them both as they highlight.
Yeah. It is like when I go in this layer of hardness and self-criticism, it is like something that is crawled up, and yeah, it's flavor of fear also. And when that relaxes a bit, breath comes in again.
Great.
And it feels like very, very young, like yeah, an embryo or something. So like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, once that embryonic, you're really describing the primordial space. So once that becomes available, as that gains ground, it really begins to inform everything in a new way. So letting yourself really bathe in that embryonic space, reveling in the properties of that. In a way, the self-criticism is appearing as like the gateway to that primordial space. So when you know that, it means every time self-criticism or shame comes up, shame is often another flavor that comes up here. Perfectionism is tied to the self-criticism. Then you can just know, oh, I'm sitting at that primordial gate again. And just presencing that will allow that embryonic stillness or state to become more, it kind of just lets that foundation be highlighted or become available, and takes the focus, because one of the dynamics within the self-criticism and perfectionism would be the tendency to become fixated on healing oneself so that one becomes perfect.
Yeah.
But if you notice, if there's a presencing, or that embryonic primordial remembering is the exit to that phenomena, because you can tell in that remembering of true nature, there's such a fulfillment of what you are, that the whole capacity, it's outside of or precedes, unbound by the identifications. And so it creates a platform for letting yourself experience the identifications there in a new way. Like it's less processing something and more of a deep inclusion, in a way, in the arms of the mother, like letting the mother, that primordial space is highlighting, letting the mother, the great mother, surrendering the identifications there into the arms of love.
Yeah.
And as you do that, and I'm experiencing that surrendering as a falling backwards and a subtle flowing down. And with that surrendering into the arms of love, which we're calling the Great Mother, I'm naming that in that primordial. There's an essentializing that can happen to the sensory experience, the whole phenomena of stagnation, and it's like an essentializing.
Yeah, it feels like it feels also very cold now around my body.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's more like
So
yeah, cold.
Does can you tune in to the life-giving properties of the coolness? I notice coolness comes in as part of the alchemy at the physiological level.
Yes.
And it feels important to tune into the life-giving, receiving the coolness like as life-giving, letting it, because if there's inflammation in the body, for example, like with what you're experiencing, there's inflammation there, right?
Yes.
The cooling energy is the perfect. So letting that come in and cool the areas of inflamedness. Kidney.
Yeah, it feels like a yin essence.
Great.
The front of my body and in my ovaries.
Great.
The back is still, yeah, it's not, there is more a warm holding of something. Yeah.
Great. Great. So you're working now with the highlighting a polarity there and letting the yin build. Feels key to any deficiency there in the yin. Again, anytime you want to bring in a specificity of the kidney and the spleen, just to check how they're intimate here to what's building.
There is it's like I'm in another layer now, more superficial.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come in again in this breathing, which is stagnated. Or fear. Okay.
Yeah, I feel that. It feels, when I feel the hardness there, it feels like mental kind of energy. So upper dandian, head, mind, and it has kind of a flavor of like hard on yourself.
Yes.
I would say hatred, self-hatred, but that feels, I don't feel the emotion, maybe a tone there in the hardness.
Mm.
But that feels a bit extreme to how I'm experiencing it. It would be the seed of what could become self-hatred if it was given free, if it was indulged in. Yeah. And I don't feel you doing that, so it kind of feels more like the seed of what could become.
Oh wow, that's hurts really in the spleen. Really spleen. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then I come again in this mother-daughter dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, yeah, that's again another layer, like mother hating. There I feel really a bit more like hate, self-hate.
Mm-hmm.
And the love of the daughter for the mother, trying to solve this or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's the
Great.
barrier
So
between why there's
great.
no reach possible. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel the polarity there of love and hate. So you can just it's really profound. As soon as polarity gets highlighted, letting yourself be one and the other, and then holding the polarities together, noticing any identification, which is kind of shows up as sticking points, or I'm this at the exclusion of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like when the hatred comes in, there's a forgetting that happens, and it's like being lost in self-criticism.
Yes.
And but there's awareness coming in, going, oh, I'm self-criticism. Before it'd be like self-criticism with no recognition that that's what you're doing. And then now it's like, oh, I'm criticizing myself, which feels
Yeah.
I'm feeling awareness starting to flood the areas that were kind of disassociated.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of, I feel some reorganizing happening. As soon as there's a flavor of things shifting, sometimes it's good just to really let go into that and let yourself be reorganized or changed.
Yeah.
I just felt the liver come into the unification, and kind of the, maybe the pancreas, like the, definitely feeling also more on the right side, some healing.
And I feel at the left side first, like more unification, more fluid, more
Mm-hmm.
vitality, which is spreading to, yeah, from the ovaries, the spleen, the kidney, and the breast. Wow. And then the heart, which is still a bit contracted.
Mm-hmm.
Very deep down in the liver, some sparkles or something.
Mm-hmm. Great. The sparkles are really connected to uniqueness. So you can zoom in on the sparkliness. It's key. Key that.
It brings up emotion.
Yeah, one of the things I'm noticing, the sparkliness really highlights where there's as part of at the primordial level, the stagnation, there's this subtle dullness. And it feels, I noticed in myself, it kind of feels really plain and free, and but there's this subtle dullness that I only recognize as deficiency when the full sparkle comes online. I'm like, oh gosh, I've been that's deficiency. And I'm just noticing that now. Because one of the signatures of that deficiency of stagnation is it kind of feels heavy and down.
Yes.
It's tamasic, really, and that doesn't want demonizing either, which is the tendency of the human psyche to demonize that energy.
But now there is more.
Yeah.
I can't feel the sparkling anymore. There is more, not now more the darkness and the heaviness and the like something that envelops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's because there's something that wants harvesting there through the surrender into that. So it feels good. It's related to that yin, the cultivation of yin.
Yeah.
Which is kind of intimate to the descending energy, descending. Handing the energy of the self back to the earth.
Now the breath is again stopping. Oh, I can see what you mean now by demonizing. Yeah, it's really dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then the task there is unpicking from within that space, like it's the what is not the dullness there, what is not the deficiency. Really, I'm picking the sense of me there from the experience. So there's the experience there that's being had, and then there's a subtle, there's an experiencer or a witnesser. I'm picking that as kind of the key.
Yes, that's clear. It's like the left and the right side trying to communicate. In the middle, there's the heart lighting up.
Yeah, I wasn't sharing 'cause it was hard for me to share while sitting. I really went into the liver and stagnation in the liver in myself. And then when that cleared, it took me to what feels like soul loss.
Soulless.
Like soul loss in the liver. Soul loss is like, it can feel like something's missing or gone, like a hole. And I was noticing how that was corresponding to, you know, sitting with tamasic energy at this level is kind of like sitting at the root of all evil, because evil, any tendency to evil in the body, in oneself, which within us at this point is going to be quite minimal, but let's say you're sitting at the seed of where there could be subtle tendency, and I was feeling that seed in the liver, and that hatred in that we were touching in on before. So it feels, and the way I'm experiencing it now is the bottom and the back of me felt like it was gone, and now I'm starting to feel like a subtle substance is starting to be more available, but it's still it's kind of foggy, and there's some aversion there. So I'm kind of just sitting with
Yes,
those
aversion
elements.
that I can look at it. Yeah. Not wanting to see it. No. Now the aversion changed a bit. It's like exploring the darkness.
Yeah, I'm feel a big change in that whole setup.
Yes.
When unification comes in, it is intimate to the unifying of what Thessa in her Patreon and some sharings has named as the three gunas.
Yes.
The Rajasic, which is, and the Tamasic come together, and what is harmony there is sattvic, it's soft and illuminated.
Yes.
True to there has becomes illuminated. I'm feeling intent come in, and intent is really, this level is like a foggy, misty substance, light, like light quintessence. And just any remnants of aversion and the sensations that come with that, I'm just letting that be held together with this mist.
Yeah.
When I feel into the signature of the aversion, it has this flavor of trying to change myself.
Yes. Now I feel like humbleness is coming in.
Mm. Yeah, beautiful. I've been noticing humbleness as being a real resting, like I've the last few weeks for me, and what's come up has felt deeply humbling and therefore precious because of the opportunity to be humbled. As a gateway into what I've been naming as dying into the presence of God. Mm. Mhm. I was just checking the time to see how we were doing, and your phone music seems to kind of correspond with starting to tune into the outer, the kind of coming coming out again, and I can feel, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very deep
Wow.
process there. Yeah, I'm glad we recorded this.
Yes.
I'm actually wondering how you might feel about me sharing this publicly. It was a really great example of working with the organs and physical healing, but absolutely no pressure if it
Oh,
feels too
you're
much.
really welcome. I can send you because I
Ah,
printed the recording now.
oh yeah, because you've recorded it. That would be amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that was very rich for me too. I felt like that was touching upon where I'm working in myself and the immaculate conception of the self. Work with Thessa, so that was a very beautiful dive. And it feels like it gave you a really good taster of journeying with the physicality at different levels of foundations of consciousness.
Yeah, that was nice to feel that, like whoop, and then sink in again. That was really nice.
Yeah. And it's really good to notice that this is just unfolding. So it's sitting in meditation is allowing elements to get highlighted and come to the forefront, and it facilitates the integration. But then everything that you're doing already is tending to this space, so it's not it's non-linear. So it's the energy is unlocked enough within you just to acknowledge that it is unfolding the what is being harvested here through healing with the kidney and the spleen. And I could feel that before we even started, so it's not this session dependent. I could feel the embodiment that's being called forward through the kidney and the spleen and what's happening there, of essence. And that was highlighted by the me in unification at the beginning. Kind of what you've cultivated so far there. Great. Thank you, Eva.
Wow, but I don't know if I can do this on my own. It's also the field we create together, and
that's normal. Eventually it becomes more embedded, as you realize yourself as that stillness and that primordial depth more and more. But then, because we're all journeying together, we are all informing one another. And that's the beauty of working together. And it's actually intimate to the spleen, that kind of exchange, transmission, so felt amplified because we were working with the spleen.
So much love.
Great. Yeah, much love to you, Eva. So let me just stop the recording.
Oh no,
you're recording.